Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News. Today, 28 August 2026. Equivalent Islamic calendar, 15th Rabiul Awal, 1448, after the Hijrah of the Noble Prophet. The headlines. President Tinubu approves 500 more CNG stations, targets affordable transport fares for Nigerians. Federal government places 2,000 locations on flood alert. 915 communities face critical risk. Sokoto police confirms terrorists kill 4, kidnaps scores in Guro community. And on the international scene, Nepal, Tibet flash floods, their toll hits 270, 1,300 still missing. And on sport updates, Cameroon beats Nigeria's The Tigers 78-62 in 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers. These and more will be coming to you in the bulletin. I am Sumaya Mustafa. Stand by. The Presidency has approved the rollout of an additional 500 compressed natural gas CNG refueling stations nationwide as part of efforts to reduce transportation costs and ensure cheaper fares for Nigerians. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu disclosed this after his discussion with the Governors Forum, saying the federal government and state governments had agreed to take immediate measures to bring down transportation costs across the country. He added that the additional 500 CNG stations were in addition to the 500 stations ordered earlier in the year by the Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, bringing the program to 1,000 CNG refueling stations nationwide. Tinubu also explained that the federal government is already investing significantly in energy transition, particularly through the Presidential CNG initiative, adding that the government is continuing to expand conversion centers and refueling infrastructure nationwide. The Nigerian leader also stressed that the federal government, through the Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, was currently financing more than 100 gas projects across the nation, stressing that the projects include 15 CNG mother stations and 82 daughter stations. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered a comprehensive reform of Nigeria's football system to address the repeated failures to qualify for major regional, continental, and global tournaments. The Special Assistant to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, in a statement, said Tinubu directed the National Sports Commission to work with the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) and other stakeholders to strengthen football governance, administration, development pathways, domestic competitions, and accountability. Tinubu pointed out that the reform is necessary to ensure that Nigeria's abundant football talent, passion and resources are matched by stronger institutions and sustained performance. The Nigerian leader also ordered the authorities to engage FIFA and the Confederation of African Football as part of the reform process, while safeguarding Nigeria's obligations under the International Football Framework. Tinubu called on football stakeholders and Nigerians to support the transition and work together to build a stronger, more accountable and successful football system. The federal government has placed about 2,000 locations across 33 states and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) under varying degrees of flood risk, with 915 communities in 19 states classified as critical and requiring immediate preparedness and protective action. The latest flood prediction by the National Flood Early Warning System Center of the Federal Ministry of Environment covers the period from August 27 to September 9, 2026. And warned that a combination of high soil moisture, rainfall, rapid surface runoff, drainage surcharge, and rising river levels could trigger flooding within the period. According to the advisory, another 429 locations across 7 states are in the high-risk category, while 656 locations in 13 states are on the moderate risk watch list, adding that the classification is based on its community-level flood risk data set and should be considered alongside real-time local observations and official emergency directives. The National Flood Early Warning Systems Center urged communities in the critical category to maintain immediate flood watch, confirm evacuation routes, and protect vulnerable households and essential assets. It advised residents against settling, parking, trading or storing goods within active floodplains, wetlands, riverbanks, and low-lying drainage corridors. Moving on, the All Progressives Congress APC Presidential Campaign Council has described Nigerian youths as a critical constituency in the party's efforts to communicate the successes of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration ahead of the 2027 general elections. The Director General of the Campaign Council, Senator Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari, made the assertion when he received Sheyi Tinubu, son of the President, and a youth mobilization advocate, accompanied by the Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, who visited to congratulate him on his appointment and discuss collaboration on youth engagement ahead of the 2027 polls. He stressed that youth would play a vital role in taking the message of the administration's Renewed Hope agenda to communities across the country through social media, grassroots networks, and other youth-driven platforms. Yari said young Nigerians were no longer merely the future of the country, but an important force in its present political and social landscape, noting that the influence of young Nigerians is particularly significant because of their familiarity with contemporary communication platforms. The APC campaign chief expressed confidence that partnership between the campaign council and youth-focused stakeholders would strengthen the party's grassroots visibility as political activities ahead of the 2027 elections intensify. Still in the news, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Mohammed Matawalle, received members of the Zamfara State House of Assembly, led by the Speaker Bilyaminu Ismail Moriki, on a courtesy visit to his office at Ministry of Defense, Abuja. The personal assistant on media office of the Minister of State for Defense, Ahmed Launwudil, in a press statement in Abuja, said the visit was to congratulate Matawalle for his appointment by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the Deputy Director, Security and Intelligence for the 2027 APC Presidential Campaign Council. The former governor of Zamfara State appreciated the Speaker and members of the State Assembly for the visit, while reaffirming his commitment towards strengthening security and stability in Zamfara State and across the country. In another development, the Dawda Lawal Engagement and Sensitization Forum, a grassroots platform keen to promoting good governance, peace, and development in Zamfara State, has endorsed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Governor Dawda Lawal for re-election in the 2027 general elections. Chairman of the forum, Suleiman Shuaibu Shinkafi, who disclosed this in a press statement, said after a review of the performance of both leaders, the forum resolved that continuity is critical to consolidating the gains recorded in Zamfara State and at the national level. Moving on, Nigerian youths have been urged to reject hate speech, misinformation, and intolerance as the country prepares for the 2027 general elections. The Director General of the Peace and Conflict Resolution, Joseph Ochogu, made the call at a two-day training program for members of the National Youth Service Corps, Student Industrial Work Experience Scheme participants, interns, and volunteers under the Renewed Hope agenda for young peace builders in Abuja. He emphasized that the program was designed to equip over 80 young Nigerians with conflict management, leadership, and fact-checking skills to enable them to contribute to peace and national development, noting that youths should move beyond being beneficiaries of peace-building initiatives and become active participants in preventing and resolving conflicts. On his part, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Shola Enikanulaye, said peace-building remained essential to national development, noting that meaningful progress could not be achieved without peace, and urged the young participants to contribute to preventing violence and strengthening unity in their communities. The senior conflict advisor at the British High Commission in Abuja, David Rennett, also called on young peace builders to verify information before acting, particularly in an era of widespread social media use. He further urged the youth to complement online engagement with direct interaction with communities. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Still to come in the news. Sokoto police confirms terrorists kill 4 and kidnap scores in Goro community. On the international scene, Nepal, Tibet flash floods, death toll hits 270, 1,300 still missing. On sport update, Cameroon beats Nigeria's D Tigers 78-62 in 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers. Welcome back from that break, and now the news continues. Terrorists have killed 4 villagers, kidnapped 4 others and injured many others during an attack on Guro community in Goronyo local government area of Sokoto State. Spokesperson for Sokoto State Command, DSP Ahmed Rufai, who confirmed the incident, said the bandits invaded the community and opened fire on residents. He added that the attack, which occurred barely 6 days after a boat accident in the community, reportedly claimed 65 lives, leaving several families in mourning. The village head of Guro, Aliu Magaji Nabatsami, said the attackers shot 11 residents during the incident and alleged that the attackers specifically targeted families who lost their loved ones in the recent boat tragedy, apparently in search of the 1 million naira relief money donated by the Sokoto state government to each bereaved family. Also, the member representing Gada and Goronyo Federal Constituency, Bashir Usman Guro, also confirmed the incident and expressed condolences to the affected families. Still in the news, the Kaduna State government has approved 200,000 naira for each of the over 4,000 graduates of the State Institute of Vocational Training and Skills Development, amounting to 810 million naira, to ease their transition from training to productive work. Governor Obasani, who made the pledge at the maiden graduation ceremony at the Balarabe Musa campus of the institute at Rigachikun, disclosed that the fund will be administered through the Kaduna State Enterprise Development Agency. The financial support is to enable the graduates procure essential tools and use it as seed money for initial working capital, professional registration, or transport fare to look for employment opportunities, he added. Obasani said that Kaduna State government is also engaging companies and industries to create opportunities for direct employment, internships, mentorships, subcontracting, and other structured engagements. The governor said that having qualified for the National Skills Qualification Level 2, the graduates represent a new generation of skilled citizens prepared to create value for themselves, their families, their communities, and the wider economy. The federal government has begun a nationwide consultation with state governments and other stakeholders to develop a national water compact aimed at addressing Nigeria's persistent water and sanitation challenges and strengthening water security across the country. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Utsev, made this known at a stakeholders consultation workshop for the development of the Nigerian National Water Compact in Abuja. He noted that the initiative was necessary to address persistent challenges in the water sector, including rapid urbanization, population growth, climate change, environmental degradation, inadequate infrastructure, fragmented institutional arrangement, and financing constraints. Also speaking, the Acting Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, Ali Della, said the consultation provided an opportunity to build a national consensus on the future of Nigeria's water sector, adding that the compact must not be regarded as a federal government document alone, but as a framework owned by all stakeholders. Also speaking, the Minister of State for Health, Isaac Saloko, called for stronger partnership between the water and health sectors, noting that flood, droughts, and other environmental pressures could directly affect water availability, water quality, and public health. Moving on, over 270 people have been confirmed dead and over 1,300 others remain missing, including at least 700 foreigners after catastrophic flash floods tore through the mountainous China to Nepal border region on Wednesday, with search and rescue efforts still underway. The U.S. Geological Survey attributed the disaster to a glacial collapse, in which a large section of ice broke off a glacier and came crashing down a slope, unleashing a torrent of water that submerged villages and destroyed bridges of the area. Dramatic footage captured the moment the flood swept through the mountainous terrain. About 22 hours after the flooding struck, Chinese emergency respondents reaching Girong Port, one of the hardest hit facilities, and a crossing point that handles nearly a third of all trade between China and Nepal. An initial team of 441 rescuers arrived at the site, backed by a high-altitude Mi-171 helicopter. State media also warned that the region remains at risk of further landslides, mudslides, and flash floods, with 3 more days of rain forecast and collapsed earth already forming unstable natural dams that could give way. And lastly, on sport updates, Nigeria's Tigers suffered a 78-62 defeat to Cameroon in their opening game of the FIBA Basketball World Cup 2027 African qualifiers in Tunisia. Coach David Fitzdale's side started the game on the front foot, but their composure lasted only until midway through the first quarter, when Cameroon leveled the scores at 11-11 before opening a 9-point lead. The decisive stretch unfolded with 4 minutes and 28 seconds left in the opening quarter, when Christian Koloku threw down a dunk to tie the score at 11-11 after Nigeria had briefly led 11-9. However, Nigeria were edged 19-16 in the third and 18-14 in the fourth as Cameroon secured a 16-point victory after controlling the game from the first half and never allowing Nigeria to seriously threaten down the stretch. Nigeria's best run came early in the opening quarter when they pieced together a 6-0 spurt from 8:54 to 7:54, turning a 2-0 deficit into a 6-2 lead. Following the result, the Tigers' quest to reach the 2027 World Cup in Qatar has become more demanding as they face South Sudan in their second game today, Friday. Finally on the news, here is a recap of the top stories again. President Tinubu approves 500 more CNG stations, targets affordable transport fares for Nigerians. Federal government places 2,000 locations on flood alert. 915 communities face critical risk. Sokoto police confirms terrorists kill 4, kidnap scores in Gurau community. And on the international scene, Nepal, Tibet flash floods, their toll hits 270, 1,300 still missing. And on sport updates, Cameroon beats Nigeria's Tigers 78-62 in 2027 FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers. And that's the size of the global news. On behalf of the news editor Ilya Adamu Auta and the production crew, I am Sumaya Mustafa, thanking you and bye for now.